Hi YouTube. Just a real quick video. I wanted to touch on a couple subjects. First, shout out Annabelle OB. I have a video in my check this out list. Um, wow. Uh, I guess as a little joke to lighten up my mood, I would call it How to Make a Rubber Chicken or Petroleum Eggs. Um, uh, Petroleum-based omelet. Um, okay, here's a little bit of what my morning was like. So I made my coffee like usual and went out to feed my girls. I got a old horse and a stray chicken that came in the yard. So Dusty and Chicolette. And Chicolette was starving when I got her, but and freezing. But she's doing well this year, real happy. And so I go out and feed my nice fat babies that I spoil rotten and come in. And the first video I watched today was a little one from Annabelle OB over in Ghana, Africa. Oh, great. Oh, yeah. Okay, anyway, so, oh, she was walking by these chickens, and first there was a black chicken out there, and they were pecking on styrofoam, and then a chicken that looked like mine, a Rhode Island red, or a red chicken, came out and started pecking, or a rooster that was red, one or the other. No, I think the rooster was last, and they all were skinny and starving, and it just sickened me. I thought to myself, I suppose if I was there, I would have grabbed that box and threw it up on the roof or something, but maybe them chickens would just fly up after it anyway. I don't know. But then if you do something like that in a poor place, you might get your ass kicked because that might be the only thing them chickens had right then. And that brings me to another thing I was telling Doug, like imagine the leftovers from different parts of the country that chicken would eat. Like I was talking about the other day, I gave my chicken some rice and some black beans. Well, it's vegetarian. And the horse and her had some rice and black beans. So, along with some wheat and let's see what else was in there. Um, just a minute. I'm trying. Oh, corn. I put some of their dry corn in there too. I have chicken feed and corn for the animals outside, bunnies and the birds. And I usually have bird feed, but I've got to get some more of that ran out. So they got a little bit in there, but I got to fill up my bird feeder, my blue jays, and I call them puffkin birds. Puffkins, they're little black, I think they're starlings or, oh, I don't know what I would call them. I used to know. Give me 1 minute. My cat wants to get out. Okay, Shibi. Come on. Bathsheba. Go, girl. Go, hurry. Okay. Dog too? Oh no, you girls, hurry up. Good girls. Just a minute, I'm be there. I gotta shut my door. That's crazy. Okay. So, the beginning of my day was feeding my nice healthy chicken and coming in to see one just like her on the other side of the ocean, almost directly across, starving to death. And amongst thinking about my 4 granddaughters losing their innocence in this horrible place, and that my sons already have, and all the people in the world. And I'm thinking, and everybody was a baby, and I just lost it. I started bawling like a big baby. So, in order to not get depressed, I allow myself just a tiny bit to cry and clean the dirty tears out of me. And when I start feeling God saying, hey, need to wake up now, He'll say, that's enough. You've cried enough. But I couldn't hang on to it anymore. If you hang on to it really too hard and you got all that built up, pent up, it'll turn into anger and frustration, and people display it in other ways. They've become so cold that if you're talking to them, we end up calling people on the other side of this internet trolls. They may be um angry teenager like I was, man. I was not vicious to people or anything, but inside I had this freaking raging anger that I knew I would never really act on, but it was in there and it sickened me. Um, so I just thought I'd share what my morning was like. It was kind of rough. And then I had just finished sending a Christmas card to my son because he didn't have an address and he does now. So, in a 5-page letter. So, yeah. And that was emotional. And, oh, yeah, it was a rough morning. Then there was something else too, but I don't know. I don't know. It was a crazy, crazy morning. Um, yeah, I just remembered what the something else was. Then I was thinking about the Satanists, how they got carried away and everything so mumbo jumbo with the necromancing, the love of the dead. And I know there's a spot in the Bible. Um, I'll probably be looking that up. In fact, I will sometime, maybe not, immediately when it occurs to me again. Whatever I think is the word would be impertinent. Like, gotta get it done right now, like what God tells me. So right now, on that note, what he's saying is there's somewhere in the Bible. Well, I'm saying this, but the message, just a sec, where it says uh, pay homage or honor the dead. That just or keep them in your mind because they're not gone. Something to that effect. I'll look it up. I'll look up that's the gist of it. I'll look up the exact words in the King James and let you all know. But that's exactly the gist of it. That, by remembering them, they're with us forever until we're with them again, is the point. For ourselves, they're fine, you know. So, getting back to the necromancing thing, so then, of course, the evils of the world trying to push people around and make you work for them and shut the hell up, that type of thing. So they can sit in their big rich mansions and look down on you. So, anyway, and people and chickens and everything else around the world are starving for God's sake, you know, and God dang it. So, anyway, even though that is one of the richer countries in Africa, they're west of the Ivory Coast, I do believe, or maybe north of the Ivory Coast, but they are one of the richer areas. But the people don't get it. You know that. It's just like it anywhere else. Um, so, well, okay, back to necromancy. Um, so Satan put it in these stupid people, inbred idiots of his that want to listen to him. That's how they got that way. And told him, well, love of the dead is doing this, that, or the next thing and turning it into rituals. And, because of their own stupidity and their own lusts in their lives, they became so stupid that what was called into remembrance, like Christ died, and we honor that, we respect that, we pay homage to that, what he did for us, you know. But to pay your respects to the dead, in other words, like my forefathers, hey, thanks great grandpa Daniel, it's like, um you know so yeah, thanks for making me Pocahontas way back when, and Sitting Bull on the other side, and you know so, and then I got Dutch and Irish and Spanish and Polynesian and German and Czech and English and Scottish and Black Irish. I said Irish, but I got it on two sides. And German and Danish, Czechoslovakian, and 3% African. And is there anything else? And I can trace my ancestors to everybody in the world. It's crazy, but it's true. And Satan knows precisely who everybody is, right down to Heinz 57 like me, right down to every drop in everybody's body. He feels you from the inside out with his electric, because he knows how to go swim in the waters and get into everybody's brains. His soul is dead in that respect, and people carry a part of that. You can turn it into Christ. Christ is in there swimming around too. It just depends on who we're paying homage to, whether we're paying respects or necromancy, So that's how they think they're going to raise their father again. Well, um, raising up something that's been smashed down already probably is not a good idea. And then I heard this WTF files, talking about the Anunnaki and the fallen returning. They never left, you know. And then the Sumerian tablets and Zechariah, false, fake information sits, and yeah, you heard what I almost said, but I almost really didn't even mean to do that like that. Sitz and Zachariah Sitchin, that's his name, who translated, one of the translators of the Sumerian tablets, but some scholars say not accurately, and I'm telling you that too. But anyway, people that know that the Cain blood and the Satan bloodline is has never left. None of us has ever left. This is it. This is where we live, you know. So, um, the firmament, in my mind, is God's planet that is attached, that He flooded out, which appears to be space, but is literally the real sun is outside that, up by Him on His planet. It's shaped like an hourglass, kind of in a manner of speaking, um, attached. And it's a prison, and it's magnetic, and they can't get through it, and they flip and know that shit. They know it. You know it. You Masons that got the word and hid it right from Satan. You know exactly what's up. I read that too. I've said it from the beginning of my channel. That's exactly what I did and exactly what I do. That's why people aren't going to show me your face. You show me your face, I'll know your bloodline. You know that. I even know somebody that's good that came from a bad bloodline because that's what's in the scripture because you don't know how to read it and you think you do. That's the funniest part. I'm talking to the bad ones now. You good ones read it with your heart. There's no problem there. You know you're good. You're good to go. You got it. What you're reading is accurate. So if you're pretending to be good, you're not reading it. There's no way. You have to have the script, as Robin would say. Robin's Hood. Um, well, that's kind of what I wanted to touch on mostly today was that love of the dead, you know. And also, okay, so that's the literal part. The spiritual part, um, for Satan too, is so we pay homage, but they, well, you know, the term brain dead. If you're a Satanist, you would probably fall into that category because they're very lazy. They think the world owes them a living and everybody else owes them because that's what Satan does, you know. So he take, you know, and not give, that type of thing. So, um, excuse me 1 minute. Let me get back on that thought. I'll get there. Mm. Then I'll tell you something humorous. Not funny, but humorous. Um, they love each other, the deadness of Christ within themselves. That's their love of the dead. That's their necromancy. No matter how deep the depths, whether they're smearing themselves in all kinds of bodily fluids or they're just not speaking on the side of Christ. Either way, that's their decision. You know, some are just players. They're all players, you know. But so okay, so the funny thing was I was having a conversation with the narcissist and he couldn't remember something. And I always would if but they'll keep talking and keep talking, even if it to repeat the same thing, it doesn't matter to make sure that you can't remember. Well, I was going to say what he couldn't think of is what the thing was. And I was laughing. I laughed it off because I knew what he was doing, you know. So I go, just a minute, let me think. And he's like, talk, talk, talk. And I'm like, if you be quiet a minute, you know, I'm going to remember what you want to think, you know. And it had to do with the materials in our shop, you know. And he couldn't think of the inventory, you know, and he couldn't think of it. Um, and I was going to spit it out. So he kept talking about what we were talking about when we got to that point, which was keeping our materials warm in there, you know. So, and we heat it with wood. So, and so he says that again about keeping the place warm. And that's when I'm telling him, you know, if you'd be quiet, I'd be able to remember. And you know, I would. So I just walked off into my room. It's like when that type of thing happens, I don't give the glory to nobody because my mind was going to go there and think of that. You know, it's like because I backtrack, you know. So like if you get lost, and that's something that motivational speakers in college will tell people too, like when you're taking tests and you can't remember something, you use triggers like colors, words, item. And if you don't want to forget something, say like if I want to remember to lock my door at night, well, I wouldn't forget. But if I wanted to remember, I would say I would look at my refrigerator and remember to go lock my door or whatever you see, or I'd like if I want to know where my keys are, and I know I always set them in the same place, but to backtrack if you didn't, you know, it's like, oh, I walked in the house, I went by the table, or whatever, you know. So backtracking in your mind, well, I backtrack well, and I have trigger codes and colors and words and items and all kinds of different things for memories and memory tests. And that's how I kept myself together. God showed me little things too, how to keep my memories through my existence, you know, because I've asked him to quiet them though at times. It gets painful sometimes. It's like, could you hold that for a while? It's like, hold the tomato because I'm allergic to it. No. Anyway, well, speaking of that, I'm going to kick back for a little while. I have spaghetti sauce, tomato to have for supper. So, um, thank you for joining me. I love you all. You might be interested. I know Annabelle's the same way, but it's just like some days I know Satan kind of runs your mouth, my mouth too. Not literally, but you know, you get your moments of dropping the F bomb. And she's like pretty much a WTF moment seeing chickens eating styrofoam. You know, I would be more than WTF moment. I would be a ballistic moment. You know, crazy, crazy ballistic moment. You know, I just I got a feeling that there's got to be something around there that them people could have walked out into the forest, even, you know, once a week to get provisions for themselves and their, you know, people are either strong or lazy all over the world. And I seen Annabelle go out like buy snakes and go get different types of food that she could eat. I remember that pod. She was eating a pod thing. They have them seeds in there, and they're kind of bittersweet. John St. Julian and Babalana ate some of them too. They've got like a nut inside these pods, and you can dry them and smash them for medicine and stuff. And she got leaves off that tree to put in her. She made chicken. I don't know if it was curry, but she had some like stewed chicken, and then she made some soup and put these leaves in there for herself and was dunking bread in there and stuff. It looked so good. It did look good. If you're watching Annabelle, Obi, that stuff. You made me hungry just like to dunk. My favorite is like chicken noodle soup, dunking bread in there with butter. It's like one of my favorite meals. I lived in a group home that, or no, it was a foster home for a while because I kept running away from the Masons and they kept trying to keep me somewhere out of trouble. So, but that's what the Masons called me, trouble. They always said, do you know what your middle name is, Barbara? And I said, yeah, I know, trouble. You know, trouble with the capital T for them. So That's me. So anyway, well, everybody, like I said, thank you for joining me. Um, I love you, everybody. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA. Check out Annabelle's um, video there, and then you'll know why I'm a big crybaby. Peace.